Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well. I am so hot this morning. It's already 22 degrees and it is 8:28. Sorry, I don't know if you can actually see that. 8:28. So it's literally just turned 8:30. I've just turned up at Lidl because I need to do my food shop and I thought what better to get it out of the way first thing on Monday morning. So yeah, I'm actually starting today's vlog as a little bit of a life update. So I am 6 weeks post-wedding now. I haven't been tracking, I haven't been doing anything, and to be fair, I've gained a tiny bit of weight, probably just over a kg. So to be fair, in that situation, I'm actually pretty happy with it. My goal now is to actually reverse and be able to maintain, you know, the leaner physique that I've worked towards. But before I do that, I want to prime my body first to make sure that I'm actually ready for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 4-week mini cut and I'm going to take you guys through it. So every week I'm going to do a little check-in and we can kind of go through everything that I'm doing, because I just think for most of us, we lose the weight and then we don't do anything after, and that is going to be so important for so many of you. If you have a really, really big goal that focuses on longevity and focuses on, you know, long-term progress, you have to do the second step. Everyone loves to do the first step and they always miss out on the second step. The second step should be more fun because you're increasing calories. Don't get me wrong, you still have to be very tedious and you still have to be very organised, but calories are going up. So anyway, before I get too warm, I'm going to head into the shop, do my food shop very, very quickly, and I will see you back here. Do you know what? The shop was actually really pleasant because it had aircon, but it is so hot. What is it saying now? So it's 9 AM now, 23 degrees. Oh my God! Luckily, Matt kindly took Maple out for me at about 5 o'clock this morning, so I don't need to take her out. I might take her out later because I probably will need to get some steps in, but anyway, let's get home. I need to have breakfast, and also I'm on day 3 of my ADHD medication, so I have to eat first and then I can take it. So yeah, I've been taking it a little bit later. Like Matt takes his at like 7 AM, but I've been taking it a little bit later because firstly I'm on quite a low dose, but secondly I want to be as productive as I can for work, and obviously it's Monday, so I've not actually tried it with like admin or working, so I'm really, really intrigued to see how it goes today. So yeah. Looks very boring, but it will do the trick. Okay, I've I've literally just been doing a little bit of work. So I've done check-ins, messages, I'm covering for Elodie today. And I'm starting to get a little bit peckish, so I'm about to make some fajitas. Oh look, I brought you these for dinner.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, I'm gonna make some fajitas just with some little mini wraps. Sorry, I'm also gonna make enough for tomorrow. So I'm gonna make 2 portions for me. So I'm gonna use a whole pepper and a whole onion. Yeah.
Throughout the first part, works tirelessly to rescue this disagreement becoming a...
Okay, so as promised, it's time to go through everything mini cut, and I am going to delve right into all the nitty-gritty so you guys know exactly what it is to ensure that you are feeling strong and lean over the summer. Now, I'm obviously 6 weeks post-wedding and I felt amazing on the day, but the focus over the next couple of months is to get stronger, is to build, and is to increase my calories. So between now and then, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start priming my body to make sure that I feel as confident and as comfortable as possible to allow myself to increase my calories up. I always feel like this is the part that no one really documents properly because, you know, you see the transformation, you see the before and after, you see exactly what people look like, you know, they look amazing, they look fabulous, but no one actually really decides what they're gonna do next. And I feel like the step after that, you know, after going on holiday, after the wedding, that is the part that is so important, and I think that is the difference between having long-term results and results that just last for your holiday. Now, first of all, I'm going to go through what is a mini cut. So a mini cut is not 4 weeks of, you know, deep restriction. It is not a quick fix. It is not a crash diet. Sorry, I'm going to turn my lights off because they're flickering. Sorry, I'm back. It's short, it's structured, it is controlled. So timeline-wise, we're looking at approximately 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how the results come through. If I feel like I'm ready to increase calories quicker, then I absolutely will, because who wants to be sat eating in a calorie deficit for a long period of time? Not me. So I will definitely not be cutting out food groups. I'm definitely not going to be, you know, saying no to social events. I'm not going to be obsessing over the scale. I'm going to be going to extremes. You know, I'm not doing endless amounts of cardio. I am just doing the basics, and I'm going to do them really, really well. I know that I'm already around 6 kilos down over the last 12 months. And what I did to achieve that was not adding more and more onto my plate. It was simply doing what I was set out to do and actually ticking it off. Because so many of us, I was so guilty of this, would always try and just add more onto our plate, even when we weren't hitting the basics in the first place. You know, if you've got a step goal of 10,000, why on earth next week, if you haven't lost weight, would you increase it to 12,000? If you were to look back on your average over the last 2 weeks and realize you only hit 7,000 to 8,000 daily, well, the next step up from there is going to be hit that target that you initially set yourself. Because if you're just coasting, you're certainly not going to see the results that you want. So I'm going to talk through exactly what it is that we're going to do and how I'm going to break it down. So first things first, we're going to go through calorie deficit. So my calories are going to be sat at 1,500 calories. That is a target for me that is controlled, that is sustainable, that is something that is not too restrictive, and it is something that will still allow me to see the results that I want. I know that I'm in a calorie deficit once I'm eating 1,500 calories, but I also know it's something that is realistic for me around, you know, my activity, around my movement, around my day-to-day life. That is something that I know is relative to me, my body, and the results that I want. We're going to be focusing on obviously a protein goal. Protein is always essential, especially in a cutting phase. It's going to keep you full for as long as possible, so it keeps you super satiated, and it is also obviously going to allow you to retain as much muscle as possible whilst you are eating calories slightly lower. So my protein goal at the moment is going to be around 110 to 120 grams per day. A lot of people on social media will overeat on their protein goal, and whilst that's not necessarily a problem, what you will find, especially when calories start to go up, you're going to start finding that you're really full. The food intake, you're going to really struggle to get in. But also personally for me, and I'm sure for so many of you, it's not the ideal macronutrient that we really love to eat. So there's no point in, you know, over fueling our body with it, especially when calories are so low. If I found that my hunger levels were starting to struggle, I would look at increasing it from there, and I probably would go to around 130 grams, but I wouldn't go much above that. Steps going to be at 10,000. So I'm going to do 5,000 in the morning, 5,000 in the evening, so that I don't feel like it's too overwhelming. I know that I can get the steps in first thing when I walk Maple, and in the evening I can also go on a second walk with her. I typically walk for about 40-45 minutes in the morning, 40-45 minutes in the afternoon, and I often find that that typically hits off my goal. However, I do have some days where I am a little bit more active, and that means that I'm always going to hit it a lot quicker. So if that is the case, which is honestly amazing, I love it when I do that, of course there is no need to get those extra steps in further throughout the day. Training. So training is 4 times per week at the moment for me. I do have a little bit of a unique split at the moment. I'm doing 3 lower body days and 1 upper body day. That is just purely because my focus after this deficit is going to be focusing on increasing my muscle mass in my glutes. So I'm trying to get myself into that routine, you know, build those habits, enjoy 3 leg days per week if you can ever enjoy that, and just get my, you know, my upper body still moving in the right way. But I know once this cut is finished, my focus is going to be building my glutes. I'm really focusing on lower body. So because of that, I'm getting myself into that routine now, so that when I start increasing calories, it is not a massive shock to the system, and I've already just primed my body again, ready for the next step. So there's a couple of things to go through, and I feel like one thing that is super important to discuss is how I track, how I plan my weeks, and how I'm really organized with it. Because for most people, I feel like they let this slip so much, and it is so vital to be organized around your weeks, especially when it comes to your food. So first things first, I will track my food on a Sunday night. I give myself 45 minutes. I'll plan out what I'm having for the week. So I'll plan it out as meals. I will write a shopping list, of course, and if I can, I'll order my food shop. I just find it alleviates so much pressure, and I just felt like when it turns up at the door, you feel so good, and you just know that it's done. It's not too much time out of your day. What I then do from there is I will start adding everything into my fitness pal, and I do not start a week until I've added it into there, because for me that alleviates any decision fatigue on the day. I also make sure that I'm choosing things that I feel like will satisfy me and foods that I typically enjoy. But of course, the priority and the goal is always to make sure that I'm hitting my targets. So what I do when I arrange my day is I will reverse engineer it. I was saying on Instagram earlier that when I track my foods, I typically will have my protein goal with my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner, and I will try to avoid having it in my snacks. If I'm going to have it in my snacks, it will be from a yogurt bowl or something like that, because I want my snacks to be snacks. I want to enjoy my snacks. I want them to be something like potentially a little mini crunchy bar, or a little mini twirl, or a packet of crisps, or a packet of popcorn. I don't want to be sat there thinking, right, I've still got 20 grams of protein. How am I going to fit this in within my snack? Okay, I'm going to have 2 Baby Bells or something like that. I want my snacks to be something that satisfy me and something that I enjoy. And because of that, I'm going to make sure that with my breakfast, lunch, and my dinner that I'm hitting my protein target just from that. Of course, it doesn't always work, and of course, you're sometimes going to have to take the hit in certain places, but I try and do that as much as possible. So I will add in my coffee, because that is around 120 calories every morning. I'll also then add in a treat, something sweet, something nice, something that I know I'm going to really want throughout the day. And then I will start hitting my protein target. So I'll focus on what protein I'm having throughout the day. You know, some recipes that you see might have 30 grams of protein, but for me, I might need 40 grams. So what I will do is I will, you know, switch things around to make sure that I am hitting 40 grams. It's likely just an extra bit of chicken or an extra bit of steak within my meal. That is so important, because you want to make sure that you are keeping yourself satisfied, you are keeping the foods that you really like within your diet, but you also have that additional flexibility to hit your goals. It is a mixture of both things. I always say to people, if you feel like you're struggling to hit your goal, you are not being organized, you are not being as structured as you possibly can be. Structure and simplicity always wins. I say this every single time, and I will honestly take it to the grave. Losing weight is not easy, but it is simple, and simple always wins. Just think about the people that always eat chicken and rice, you know, people that have the same thing for breakfast, the same thing for lunch. That is because it works, and that is because they are so locked into their goals. Now, I'm not someone that's saying you need to eat chicken and rice every day, because I certainly don't, but I also am willing to put the effort in to put time aside on my weekend to make sure that I have that additional flexibility. It's either you have boring, simple, and plain, or you take the time to find things that actually fit within your macros. Either way, I don't mind. It depends on who you are as a person, and it depends on what you feel like you're going to stick to best. I know for me, chicken and rice is not going to cut it, but I also know for my best friend, chicken and rice does cut it, and it does give her the results that she wants. There is no right or wrong way of doing it. It is just hitting your targets is the right way to do everything. So over the next couple of weeks, whilst calories are low, I am going to find that there's going to be some things that are probably a little bit more difficult. Your energy levels might start to dip. I might find that my strength, isn't going up in the way that it sometimes is when calories are higher. But also what I will notice is probably clothes will start to feel a little bit better. I'll see visual progress within the mirror. So you are always going to have some wins and some losses. And that's always important to remember. I'm always someone who wants a bit of everything. And when I can't get everything, I feel a little bit stressed, but you have to be realistic with the results that you're going to get. What am I doing this for? I'm doing this so I can prime my body so I am in the best starting position possible for when my calories start to increase. So just to close all of this off very, very quickly, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm hoping to lose a little bit of weight. I do not care about the number on the scale. I just want to make sure that I'm feeling as body confident as possible when I'm starting to increase calories, because at that point, most people are completely and utterly terrified because calories are going to start increasing and they're going to start worrying and fearing, you know, what is going to go on from there. If you put yourself in the best starting position, like so many of my clients here, they've increased calories from like 1,500 to over 2,000. And their body weight has pretty much maintained. They still look incredibly lean. They both look absolutely amazing, and it really does show that the hard work does pay off. So stay with me for the next couple of weeks, because very shortly I'm going to be going through exactly how to reverse diet in the most efficient way possible, how to increase food and stay lean. But for now, we're going to just keep on with the mini cut. Around 4 weeks to go, and I'm sure that I'm going to see some really, really good progress at the end. Oh, I forgot to say, I've got a free summer shred guide. It is in the description below. Click on the link and enjoy, because I'm sure so many of you guys are going to absolutely love it and it will be perfect for your next summer goals. Guys, it's not 10 p.m. at night. It is just horrendously raining outside. Look. I don't. So gloomy outside. Oh, there's the thunder. So gloomy. I've just made some dinner. There we go. I mean, it looks very summery and outside is not giving, but there we have it. That looks super nice. These are so yummy. They're beef kebabs, some rice, some coleslaw, and then a big side of veggies. So that is my dinner done. I waited all day for my yogurt bowl and I can't wait to have it. But that is exactly how I'm finishing my day. A lovely, delicious yogurt bowl